In October 1962, Augustine Ruzindana was in Senior 2. At 79, he has recollections of the time around independence as one of excitement and apprehension on what it would mean to the country.
The independence was positive, that there is no way it's time. It was the time for independence. Colonialism was no longer viable.
The former Inspector General of Government says educated Ugandans did not expect the pulling down of the Union Jack to change anything. And indeed, not much changed on the political scene.
But we have not succeeded to utilize that independence to the advantage of the majority of the people.
At the time, all independent countries in Africa had development and economic plans, and there was a lot of positivity in the initial years.
Development plans that every country in Africa had at that time.
Food insecurity was unheard of, since the federal governments had their work cut out, enforcing peace and ensuring that residents were growing both cash and food crops.
And if you had millet, there would be a granary, and the chiefs would come and inspect it. The current chiefs have no work, but the chiefs of those days would actually record the acreage of crops of every farmer. So government had the statistics on the available food.
At that time, people still felt ashamed about stealing public funds. Corruption was still largely unheard of.
We actually heard of chiefs who committed suicide because they had had shortages of cash. Theft was still a shameful thing, not like now, where some people were declared to be like Mandela when they came out of jail, and it was a shameful thing.
Ruzindana says Uganda's biggest miss in the last 62 years has been the poor quality of governance the country has been forced to live under.
The quality of governance deteriorated, and the promises of development got frustrated.
The pronounced ethnic identity today has also shattered the unity that existed between different communities at the time of independence.
Ethnicity was not very pronounced. It was the religious angle more than ethnicity.
The revolutionary who joined the Front for National Salvation, or FRONASA, in 1972 in his youth says the huge number of unemployed young people is explosive.
You can't have young people and they are growing up and they have nothing to do. That's quite explosive.
Ruzindana argues that colonialism is still alive and well in Uganda, since our national budget has to be approved by foreigners.
It is there now. If you appointed the Minister of Finance, the first visit would be with the representative of the IMF in the country and the World Bank. Those are the actual power. And if you said, but you know, there is a new rich country called China, I think, let me go there and say, you are going to be in a problem. So the colonialism is there.
If he is to have a cup of coffee or tea with President Yoweri Museveni, who he has known since the 1960s, he says he would raise the issue of governance with him, since a national conversation cannot happen until the incumbent authorities agree to it.
The situation in governance is worrying. It could become explosive. We have young people. They look at issues like corruption. It is actually increasing.
On his legacy, Ruzindana says he has been fortunate to serve in situations that required integrity that he could provide. His parting shot at the young people is that they should develop a culture of talking to each other in a civil way.
where there should be dialogue, there is a lot of abuse. And if there is no dialogue, this is there is a problem.
In September 1986, Ruzindana was appointed Inspector General of Government, a position he held for 10 years before becoming the Member of Parliament for Ruhaama County. At one time, he was the Deputy Secretary General for the Forum for Democratic Change Party, or FDC. Gillian Nantume, NTV Tonight.